Hello and God bless you. Today I want to talk about some of the days that are listed in Daniel in chapter 8, like the 1,290 days, 1,335 days, and then the 2,300 days that are listed a little earlier. Seem very confusing and a whole lot of theories on these. I want to look at them and look at a possibility and how we could possibly theorize. I think the first thing we need to do is turn to Luke chapter 21. If we go to verse 20, and we'll read, because we're looking at the abomination of desolation and the amount of days that are included within that time. Because we're given a few different days, and what do these days mean? And that's what we're trying to see and give a theory on what they could possibly mean. Now, when people have looked in Scripture in the past, the Scripture has been fulfilled to a T, but normally different than people expected it to. So this very well may be the case in this too. But if we're to look and theorize, we should at least try to explore what theories that could possibly come about these scenarios. Okay, in Luke chapter 21, verse 20, and when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. I believe this is speaking about the abomination of desolation in the tribulation period, in the midst of Daniel's 70th week, when the false peace covenant is broken in the middle. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them who are in the countries enter thereinto. Now, a lot of people think and say that this was fulfilled in the invasion of Titus in 70 AD. Well, in a sense, this was fulfilled with Titus in 70 AD. And what happened during that time is very much parallel with this. But if we continue to read the same chapter, when we get to verse 27, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Did this happen then? No, this didn't happen then. I don't believe this happened then. This is a future event. So if this happened with the invasion of Titus in 70 AD, this is something that's going to come about again, and that's why it's mentioned in parallel with the return of Jesus Christ right at the end here. Okay, with that in mind, we see them when Jerusalem's encompassed with armies, when there's armies all about, know that the desolation draweth nigh, means it draweth near. And I think that's important to read before we start reading in Daniel to help give us a better idea. If you go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 11, and from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay, then we're given in verse 12, blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. This is 45 days more than the verse just right before. So what's going on here? Well, if we're going to look at this closely, now we know that when Jerusalem's encompassed with armies, the desolation draweth nigh. It says if you're in there, get out of there and leave. It says flee to the mountains. So we know that. Now, from the time that the daily sacrifice, and this is in verse 11, shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. I believe that doesn't just talk about Jerusalem encompassed with armies. I believe what this abomination of desolation is set up, there's 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. Now, when I first looked at this, I was thinking, okay, this could be after the 1,290 days. But when thinking that people are supposed to flee, let's just imagine if there's all these armies around Jerusalem. People flee on day number 1. 45 days later, the abomination of desolation is set up. They've already been gone for 45 days. There's 1,290 days happening thereafter. So to me, this is a possibility, something that many people haven't thought of, something that I hadn't thought of until recently. May not be right, but just something to look at and theorize. Okay, now if we go into look at Daniel chapter 8, we're given some other numbers here. I'll first read, it's verse 14 in chapter 8. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Okay, I'll read a scripture to start at verse 12, so we can read that verse 14 twice, at least. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. I believe this is speaking of the Antichrist and about the abomination of desolation. Verse 13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spoke, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? So he's overhearing a conversation between two saints and asking about how long will this take. And he said unto me, 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Okay, so if we started at the point that the abomination of desolation happens and counted out 2,300 days, well, we would be quite a few days after the point of the end of the 1,290 days. But at the 1,290 days, if that's the day that Jesus Christ returns, will that day be the day that the sanctuary is cleansed? Or is there a cleansing that has to go through that may take a few days? And this may happen actually into the very first portion of the millennial period. This is a possibility. Now I know that a lot of people take this to 444 BC and then take it to 2,300 days afterwards, which takes us to just a few hundred years ago. Then shall the sanctuary be cleansed? Was this a fulfillment of that time? No, I don't believe so at all. I've heard some real crazy theories on this, and if you're following somebody that's going to give you these numbers in there, pay very close attention to what they're trying to give you. But I just wanted to kind of cover these days and take a look at them. And I guess the only way to see exactly for sure is just to wait and see till we're there. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.